What's up, everyone? I am back, and today we are going to be starting a series in NBA 2K16 that I have alluded to for a while. So if you were not aware, I moved recently, and it's taken up a lot of my time. It's been about a week, a little bit more, since I last uploaded a video. By the time that this actually comes out, I'm recording this on Tuesday. It'll probably be out Wednesday. But I moved, and then the big well, most of it was the packing. Like, I moved Thursday and Friday. We had to drive about 1,500 miles, but we moved those 2 days. But most of my absence was due to the packing. I put off packing until pretty much the last minute, and I had to spend Monday through Wednesday pretty much only packing. And I streamed, I think, once. I think Wednesday night before I left. And then on top of that, we had to upgrade our internet so that I could actually make videos while I was here. Among other things, like I couldn't stream like anything. I couldn't watch like Netflix or anything, so that was going to be a big issue because a lot of the TV I watch is through streaming and movies. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So unlike past setup videos or introduction videos where I do a live comm or one take off the cuff kind of thing off the top of my head, that's not a possibility because I recorded this footage, I think, the day the game came out, or I think the day after the game came out. I think it was Saturday night. But I recorded it, and it's now here. So I've had the game actually for a few days. I pre-loaded it like the day before I left and was able to play it at the launch date. For a little bit, I played like, I think, 2 or 3 games. I got blown out, I think, each time by the computer. So that'll be a preview of what's to come, especially when you see what team that I picked. So this is going to be a new style for introduction videos. So we're going to get into this in a second. But first, I do want to warn you, I am going to change the times on certain video clips to actually fit like what I have to say about them, because I don't have a lot of notes on some things. So we're gonna, shorten up the clips for some of them, or lengthen the clips if I have more to say than the clips. So without any further ado, let's get into the league creation. Excuse me. So in creating the league, there weren't many things that I actually changed. I kind of been messing around with the salary cap for a little bit, and I didn't really understand any of it. So I'm gonna have to do a few tests outside of this league. But like, all other things that I have to restart the league anyway because there's no draft classes available currently, and I'm waiting for like some sort of official OS, like Operation Sports, set of draft classes to come out, because I plan on doing this for 3 or 4 years at the very least. Because I'm not going to post this as frequently. I'm going to play a lot less games than most of my other series, so I'm going to have to restart it anyway. So I'm going to do a lot of tests with the salary cap and see what people kind of say. And we're going to do 10-minute quarters, at least to start out. There's a possibility to increase it to 11 or 12 at some point throughout this, depending on how the game goes, or decreases to 9 or 8. It won't go any lower than 8, I can guarantee that, but it's going to start at 10 and most likely stay at 10. And we're going to be on Hall of Fame difficulty. I really am, it's not fun for me to play any lower difficulty than Hall of Fame, because I just lash the computer at points, and it's just not a fun game to play, because you're just, there's no drama, there's no intensity in that. And I'm really good at 2K. I've been playing 2K the longest out of any of the sports games besides, I think, NHL. I've played since I was pretty much born. But we're going to start on Hall of Fame difficulty. But that might be changed if the game is too hard. Well, maybe not too hard, but it's just not fun. I played the first game, I'm going to warn you right now, on default sliders and not simulation sliders. I think I changed that for the second game, or after the first game, but I haven't played the second game yet, so we'll see how everything goes. And some of those other settings I didn't mess with either, like the player progression, whatever. But now that we're done with that, let's talk about what team we're going to use. So for anyone who hasn't been around any of the other times that I've talked about doing this series in this game, I decided that I was going to use the Knicks because I wanted all my series that I'm going to be posting over the next year for all these games to be with my favorite teams, and that started with Washington Capitals and the New York Jets in Madden and NHL, and is going to continue with the Knicks here in NBA. And then my big series is going to be in March when MLB The Show comes out, and hopefully I have a PS4 by then of my own, and I have a few, that's months down the line, obviously, but that's a different topic for a different date. We're talking about the Knicks right now, and my main thing is the Knicks are kind of in-between team right now. They got 2 big pieces, which are Carmelo Anthony and Kristaps Porzingis, and outside of that, it's a lot of garbage, really. A lot of role players that are, obviously just role players. There's no real superstars on the team outside of them, and we're going to talk about that later when we do the roster, overview. And talk about what we expect out of the team. That's going to be the main thing, but just the important part for now is that we are selecting the New York Knicks. And here's the league automation. The only reason this is even worth showing is because I changed a lot of the draft-related stuff to auto. Other than that, I left everything on manual, but I just, well, even when I do the actual, when I have to restart the MyLeague, we really have, like, the draft stuff bores me, and other than actually drafting, I really don't care about the pre-draft workouts. It's always stuff I'd skipped in past 2Ks, so don't expect to see any, sort of scouting videos out of me for this series. I don't do any of that stuff until the actual draft, so I just set that pretty much all to auto because it was really pointless. Now on to discussing the roster for this team. You have Carmelo Anthony, and there's a huge drop-off after that. Not even another 80 overall player, and that's going to be a huge downfall for this team. Now, even the second-best player in the team, Aaron Aflalo, you got Robin Lopez after that, who's still rather young and would be a nice trade piece if, the Knicks are out of it at the deadline, which is something, again, I'll discuss in a bit. But other than that, I like a lot of the players on the team. You got Sasha Vujacic, who's been one of my favorite players to watch and to play with in past 2Ks. You got Kyle O'Quinn, who's a fantastic defender. And there's obviously a lot to like out of the younger guys like Langston Galloway and, as I said, Kristaps Porzingis. Derek Williams is interesting. He's only 24 years old, and he could still really turn around his NBA career and be a solid role player for a team. I've always liked Kevin Seraphin. I always thought he's a really good offensive threat in Washington, and I was surprised they never utilized him more than he did. And I like Aflalo and Lopez too. But again, these guys, and Jose Calderon we're going to get to in a little bit, but I like these guys, but they're not stars by any means. Now, Langston Galloway is 23, and he could turn into a very solid player, but he's never going to be a star. Kristaps Porzingis, outside of Carmelo Anthony already being a star, is our best hope at having a franchise player in New York, and that's really something we're going to have to work on if we're going to want to be a successful team, is developing great talent from within, because no one's going to want to come to New York outside of players like Aaron Aflalo and Robin Lopez. No big star is going to be like, that would be a good situation to be in, because we don't have a lot of very good players. It's a lot of these depth guys, these guys who fill roles for our team, but don't really do anything outside of just being role players. Now here we're going to take a look at the player salaries. Now, like I said before with Jose Calderon, I'm not a huge fan of Jose Calderon. I think he's a terrible defender. Well, I know he is a terrible defender, and he's not a very good offensive guy outside of being a decent passer and a pretty good three-point threat. That's not something you pay $7 million for. You pay $7 million for someone who's going to play defense or going to, score a lot of points or going to be some sort of three-point specialist at, the wing or, very athletic. You're not paying $7.4 million to some guy who's 34, can only shoot threes, is a horrendous defender. I was going to say atrocious. Either word would work, really. And he's making $7 million, so he's going to have to be traded. And my other big concern was that Derek Williams is making $4.4 million, and he has a player option. Now, I'm more concerned about that player option. We're going to have a lot of salary cap space next year, regardless of, how it looks like it's set up right now. We're going to have a lot of salary cap space anyway, because our only big contracts are Carmelo Anthony and Robin Lopez, and Aaron Aflalo has a player option that he might pick up, but that would still only be about $40 million on our cap. And then, got minor contracts like Kristaps Porzingis, but, salary cap space isn't going to be an issue. We're going to be able to retain our guys and sign good free agents. Maybe not great free agents, but good free agents at the very least. But Jose Calderon is definitely going to have to be traded, because I'm not paying him that amount of money for the role he's going to play on this team, especially when we have Jerry Grant, who's younger and has a chance to be better than Jose Calderon. Anyway, and we want to give him some of the backup point guard minutes, especially if we're going to be a below-average team this season. Now here's a look at what our starting rotation is going to be, at least to start out the season. Now, I was careful when I was making this to start. I wanted to start Galloway and Porzingis, and I came in knowing that, but I didn't want to overplay them. I think I gave them both about 22 to 25 minutes, somewhere in there, especially, since we got good backups at both of those positions. Those are two of our deeper positions, and it's really that not only are they not playing a lot of minutes, but no one on our roster is really playing a lot of minutes. Now, Carmelo Anthony is obviously an exception to that. He's going to play over 30 minutes a game. But, the closest guy to come to that besides him is Robin Lopez, who's playing, I think, 27 or 8 or 9. But other than that, we got a lot of depth on this team, and we want to give a lot of our players minutes. Like, we want to give Jerry and Grant, a young guy, a lot of minutes. You want to give Kyle O'Quinn a lot of minutes. You want to give Sasha Vujacic a lot of minutes because he's, the backup, shooting guard. You got to give some of these guys a lot of minutes. Not a lot of minutes, but a fair amount of minutes for them to make an impact in the game. And, you got to see what you have in some guys like Kevin Seraphin and Derek Williams, especially when you're not really a rebuilding team. I wouldn't say the Knicks are really rebuilding, but they're an in-between team. They're not rebuilding, but they're also not expected to be a very strong contender this year. So you want to, kind of take minutes away from, you want to stray away from overplaying one person, and, you want to spread your minutes out a lot. So that's how the rotation is going to look for the season, or at least to start the season. Obviously, it changes with injuries or, struggles. And finally, I just have a couple more items that I would like to add to this before I go. So we're going to talk about what I expect out of this team and what I expect out of this series moving forward. And we'll get into a little discussion about the channel and what you can expect with that going forward as well. So with this series, the team this year is not very good. I expect them in the weak Eastern Conference to finish at exactly 500, 41-41. Which might be decent enough for a playoff spot, but who knows? I think that the talent you have at the top of the team, the depth guys like, Aaron Aflalo and Robin Lopez, and I expect a pretty decent rookie season out of Kristaps Porzingis, about 12 points, maybe 4 or 5 rebounds, and Langston Galloway's going to have a pretty good year in the starting lineup too, and you're going to have a lot of depth, and we're going to have to make a trade at some point to get rid of Jose Calderon, and, what do you know? Who knows what we're going to bring in? I haven't even looked at a trade for Jose Calderon yet, so who knows what kind of piece we're going to bring in for that might make our team better. And, you don't know, but right now, where it stands right now, this team has enough talent to be a 500 team, but maybe not much more than that. And at the worst, I'd say they're probably 30-52, and that's pretty much depending on Carmelo Anthony getting injured or struggling, and a lot of our other players not stepping up to fill roles that we expect them to this year. So that's my expectation for this team. And for the series, I'd expect maybe, 6 or 7. Maybe that's a little bit low. Maybe about 8 to 10 games a year. Probably about 1 every month. Not a whole lot. I'm not a huge, I don't like editing basketball videos, and especially with the short format, I'm really not, I'm not sure how it's going to work. And I might make this like a longer series, like with a little bit longer videos, but even then, I like to move quickly through these series. This is especially since this is going to be a third series, and it might not even see a lot of uploading after a while, because I still have to finish the MLB series I started, and I'm doing Madden, which might become my third series. I'm kind of thinking of like alternating NHL and then these two on like alternating days. Like I might do NHL and then NBA and then NHL again and then Madden and then maybe NBA after that. Try and get NBA in a little more. I don't know. We'll have to figure out some sort of schedule for this. And I'm going to try and get one video out every day or two. I don't know how possible it's going to be, mostly due to recording, getting time to record, and the privacy to record a post-com. I'm not ever going to... I doubt that I'm ever going to be able to record a live com for the time being, unless it's on a PlayStation 3 game, which would not be anything posted on this channel currently. So I don't know how consistency is going to go moving forward. I'd like to get a video out every day. Maybe not starting today. Today might not be the first day of that, but within the next week or so, once I'm starting to get settled in. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you stay tuned for more of this series. I'm really excited for it. I'm going to try and get a couple videos of this out later on this week before we get back to the normal functioning of the channel. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy, and stay tuned for more Knicks basketball.